So last lesson we talked about the Pythagoras theorem, the Pythagorean theorem. And then you have to practice one or two exercises. One thing I noticed in exams is that many students do not know what SF means. Significant figure.
Did you correct it? Did you revise the test?
No, not yet. So if you have a number it says correct to two significant figures, your answer then in turn becomes 37. That is a significant figure. If your answer would have been correct to two significant figures, your answer would have been 62. So that is something I noticed in tests. We confuse significant figures to decimals. This is chapter 1. Chapter 1. Decimals are not significant figures. We have been through the Pythagoras theorem, and now we fast forward, move with the speed of light for the third time in chapter 10. Sinus, cosinus, and the tangent. You have a triangle. Pythagoras theorem, sinus, cosinus, and the tangent can only be used right-angled triangle. A right-angled triangle has one angle that's 90 degrees. We have the sinus. Wait, no, let's start with sinus, cosinus, and tangent. Oh, sorry. This is the Dutch version. Sorry. Dutch version.
Oh, we're here again. Sinus.
The sinus, the cosinus, and then the tangent. You have a right angle triangle. You always look from the angle. Always look from the angle. So, if you have a triangle, I would like to measure the angle of C. I would like to know the angle of C. You're always looking from the angle. Away from the angle, they call the opposite. Away from the angle. Adjacent to the angle is called the adjacent. And then what is left? The hypotenuse. Which is always the longer side. Remember, we start with SOHCAHTOA and afterwards we move to sinus and cosine rule. You always have this in the CXC exams. Always. One of the three, if not two of the three. Always. And the chances of you using this one is small. They want you to use the cosine rule and the sine rule. That is form 5 level.
Yo, is that an A or a U after the E?
To the E. EU. So we'll take the same triangle again. I would like to know, or let's place numbers. I would like to know the angle of C. The angle of C. As I said, you're always looking from the angle. The opposite and adjacent. You go to your cheat sheet. I need either sinus, cosinus, and tangent. I have the opposite and adjacent. I look at the first letter. One of these three has an O and has an A in them. Correct. The TOA, which belongs to the tangent. So in order to find or calculate the angle of C, you have to use the tangent. Now, not just press tangent on your calculator. You have to use the inverse of tangent. Shift tangent, second tangent. All different calculators have different answers. So how do you write it? It's always the one in the middle is in the numerator. The one at the back is in the denominator. So O divided by H, A divided by H, or O divided by A. It's always the same. So the tangent, inverse, shift, or roof, different calculators have different things, of O divided by A, 10 divided by 7. Which gives 55 degrees. Do not forget about degrees. We are talking about angles. So what's next? Another triangle.
It's a right angle triangle. Upside down.
Correct.
That one is strange. Strange.
So we have exactly 2 minutes to find the answer to triangle A and B, angle of C and angle of E.
First one. It's like a simple looking, not to be able to good say for example the count.
Most of the time it's 1. Normally they tell you 1 significant figure or 2 decimals and so forth. Yes. So, already everyone has the answer.
Hindi ko meneer bij figure out iko dito ka ko ko dito saka men ko ra pero dito ko mi da saka meneer boding yuni na ano do saka o bodi uni na ano do saka esi
That's the cosine rule. So, everyone has the answers. I've seen them.
Yeah, wait. Let me repeat the issue.
Angle of C opposite is blank. So I have the adjacent and hypotenuse. I have A and I have H. So I need to use the cosinus. Yes? In exams as well, it says correct to one decimal, significant figures, whole number, and so forth. Your first answer, you can get 2 points, sometimes 1. The first answer you get is not the answer. I said correct, sorry? Correct to 2 significant figures. Your answer is not 66. Your answer is 66.42 and so forth. It says correct to 2 significant figures. So after you've written down this, then you give the answer to 66 degrees. It's not in degrees, I think.
Did you get to see now? Oh.
It was in radians. Yes? So you get questions like this. Paper 2s. Guys, remember, the only thing you have to ace is paper 2.
If you get a 1 for paper 1 and a 100 for paper 2,
You still pass. So the thing we have to look for is paper 2. How do you answer questions? Correct to 2 significant figures, 1 decimal, 2 decimals, and so forth. They do it on purpose. So when you get the answer, write down the answer. This is the answer. And then correct to 2 significant. Do not immediately write the answer. Things like this give either 1 or 2 points. If this is not written, you might lose a point, because the inverse of cosinus of 4 divided by 10 is not 66. It's 66.42 and so forth, more numbers. Pay attention to those very small details. Let's say 1 decimal. Yes, if it's not specified, they're not gonna be like, oh, you did 1 decimal or 2 decimals. It's not specified. And the last thing that may give us troubles, is finding the length. These pose troubles. Find the length of km. How do you find the length of km? Sorry? The first thing and first step, most important step, this is the opposite. First thing you should know. And then we remain with the adjacent and the hypotenuse. Do I need hypotenuse? No. The only thing I need is the adjacent and opposite. So,
Which one? The opposite?
yeah,
Above.
opposite, yeah, and adjacent.
The adjacent sorting
Number, correct. So, you need to learn a little trick. What is the trick? Do as if you did not have the degrees. It would have been the tangent of
Something 5.
because you have opposite divided by adjacent is km, the length of km divided by 5, and that would have equaled 51 degrees.
You need to do here, you need the tangent, not the minus on the normal tangent. The normal tangent, 51 times 5.
Yes,
Times 5.
times 5. So you learn a little trick. You have something divided by 2, and that answer equals 3.
1.5. Not divided. 6.
So how you get to that unknown answer? You multiply the answer with the denominator. So you do the exact same thing here. You multiply
51 degrees with 5.
not 51 degrees, but the tangent of 51. Not inverse. Remember, there is no inverse, no negative 1. Just tangent. Multiply with the denominator, which gives something.
6.1. 6.17.
6.17. Easy peasy. One more thing. In 10.3, so you can make all exercises of 10.2. Literally all of them. 10.3 is something very small, extremely small. Angles of elevation and depression. This has been placed in different tests, and then people do not really realize how to look at it.
It's about it's only 32 degrees in the same.
Sorry?
It's only 32 degrees, then the Z and the Z.
Yeah, it's a Z as well.
They are the same.
Angles of elevation, you look upward. If you remember correctly, there was this specific exercise on the test. It was something like this. With a pole. And then it said, there was an angle of elevation. This item, I think it was like a park or something, I don't remember. And you were standing here. It says, there was an angle of elevation. How tall is the pole? Correct. So I think this was 90 degrees. It was something like this. Yeah. This here was 90 degrees. Straight. Something like this. This was angle P. So this was talking about a park, and you had a specific pole, and they say figure out the length. You're standing at P with an angle of elevation. So the thing you had to do is you had to draw a line like so for it to be a right angle triangle.
90 degrees.
It's a pole. No, a pole was 9 degrees. Now, of course, it was given to you. This was 7, I think, and then you had an angle of, I think, 21, something like that. It was given to you. Yes? So that is it. You just have to know angles of elevation and angles of depression. Know what they mean.